All right, everybody, welcome to our class on heart health. It's February, so we just thought heart health really kind of goes with Valentine's Day, and we're really excited about it. To start off, we have a great quote. Conventional doctors routinely prescribe statin drugs, and although more people take cardiac drugs than ever before, hundreds of thousands of Americans still perish each year from heart disease while under doctors' care. And that's a ton of people. This actually did come from a magazine in May of 2007, which since then it has really only gotten worse. If you'll switch slides for me. How bad is heart disease really in the United States? Well, 73 million people suffer with high blood pressure, 17 million coronary heart disease, 8 million from heart attacks, 6 million from strokes, and over 5.5 million with heart failures. And what's also crazy is 80 million people actually suffer from more than one of these. Go to the next slide for it. What's also crazy is that 50% of men and 70% of women who die of heart attacks had no previous symptoms. So a lot of people don't even realize that they're suffering with heart issues and have all of these problems until it's too late. So it's never too early to start preventative care and taking care of ourselves, because again, you never know, you might not have any previous symptoms. And then go to the next slide. So what causes heart attacks? Is it high cholesterol or is it something else? Well, in our next slide, it's actually inflammation. In 2006, they did a Harvard Med study, and they studied all mortality rates of heart attacks, and they took these cadavers and they tested them for cholesterol to see what their cholesterol was. And in over 50% of all of these people who died of heart attacks, their cholesterol was completely normal. It was not high cholesterol. But what all of these people did have was inflammation. They had all of these here, which are essentially inflammation markers in the body. Some of the really, really big things that we were going to talk about is high levels of insulin, which is a really inflammatory hormone that goes with blood sugar. So we'll definitely go more into that later. Okay, we'll do the next slide though. But what is causing all of this inflammation? We have working long hours, not having a balanced diet, eating too much junk, drinking too little water, lack of exercise, not sleeping enough. Stress is a really big one, but it's also your blood sugar. That's huge. Blood sugar is really, really big, and it's actually kidney health. Your kidneys make renin, which is what causes your heart rate to go up or to go down. So high blood pressure really is a kidney problem, more so than even a heart issue. And it is that inflammation that does come from all of this, but it's so important to start recognizing and taking care of it early for that preventative care. And so moving on, we have how to protect our heart, and Dr. Faith is going to come in and help us figure that out.
All right, thank you, Dr. Wild. Let me see if I can't get the microphone here on. So what are we going to do to protect the heart? So we got several different things that we can do and different areas we're going to talk about today. So go ahead. So the first one we're going to talk about is supplements. Supplements are actually a big deal. And supplements are a big deal because the nutrients from our soil has been depleted since all the way back in the 50s is when they actually started noticing it. And so it's probably been depleted even past that. And we're not really doing anything to put minerals and nutrients back into our soil. So supplements are a big deal. But you don't want to just use any supplement. You actually want to use a really good quality supplement. So how do you know the difference? If it's made in a lab and it has ingredients that you don't know what it is, then most likely it's chemically made, and it's not going to work as good as those that are from plants, food, things like that, roots, tree saps, you know, all different things. So anyway, omegas are actually a big deal. Omegas are excellent because 1,000 milligrams a day actually reduces your risk of heart disease or heart-related illness by actually up to 45%, which is actually a really large number. It reduces inflammation in our body, which Dr. Weil just talked about how inflammation was so important. Omega-3s actually help to reduce that. It elevates your mood. It helps to improve your attention span. It stabilizes your blood sugar, and it actually helps to increase and boost your immune system. So omega-3s are really important. Another one that a lot of people don't know about is magnesium and calcium. And magnesium is really important because it actually prevents rhythm disruption. So a lot of times when the rhythm of your heart rate gets off, it causes a lot of heart issues. So magnesium actually helps to regulate it, or prevents it going off. It's also, most people are magnesium deficient. And because they're magnesium deficient, magnesium supports our heart muscle. And so when you're magnesium deficient, it actually increases your risk of a heart attack. And it also helps you sleep. And later on, we're going to talk about sleep. And sleep is really important. We actually sell a product here at our store and online called Mineral Salt. And it has a really high quantity of magnesium, potassium, iodine, calcium, copper, things like that. And a lot of people go on it and feel excellent on it. So that is something we have that's important here. Two of our other products that we sell for heart issues is Deflammation and Hearts on Fire. Deflammation's great just because it helps to fight inflammation. It has your turmeric, it has black pepper, and it has ginger. Your Hearts on Fire has different things. It has a hawthorn. Hearts on Fire was actually designed to help with circulation, and then it was also designed to help oxygen get to the brain while you sleep. A lot of people are really shallow breathers, and so when you sleep, they say that the oxygen only goes to about your nose and that's it. And so getting oxygen to your brain when you sleep is really important for cognitive skills and things like that. But this is an excellent one. We have a lot of people who are having different heart issues, and they go on this and they love it, and their blood pressure goes down and regulates things. And we do mix it with the deflammation just because of the inflammation in your body is usually brought on by different symptoms, but these go hand in hand. So, all right. So Hippocrates said this, and I show it a lot because I think it's so important. It is, let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food. And I really believe that. I believe God gave us everything we need here on this planet to be healthy. We don't have to make things in a lab to be healthy. A lot of times we think, oh, the new fad drug is going to be better than the last. But a lot of times, as time goes on, we find out that it really wasn't better, that food is actually better. And most of our prescription drugs are actually created because of a herb or a supplement, and it mimics the effects that it had on the body. So, all right, so the first one I want to talk about is red meat and chicken, and I don't have a slide for it. It's really controversial. I actually don't have a problem with people who have heart disease eating red meat and chicken, turkey, things like that. I don't have a problem with it because protein helps to support muscle, and your heart is a muscle. And so I wouldn't overeat it, but I think eating it and eating a little with each meal is actually really beneficial for you and for your health overall. Remember, you're trying to get healthy, you're trying to maintain muscle mass, fight inflammation. Red meat and the chicken is actually, turkey, are actually pretty good. But I will tell you what is bad, and that is bacon, salami, beef jerky, and deli meats. They actually will increase your risk of colon cancer by 20%. It increases your risk of breast cancer, pancreas, and prostate cancer. In fact, we just had a lady in last week who's just getting over breast cancer, and she was eating bacon every single morning before she had breast cancer. And she believes that added to, sped up her, accelerated her getting breast cancer. And so a lot of this processed meat has nitrates in it, and it's not good for you. It actually causes a lot of different health issues, but cardiovascular health is one of them that it does cause issues with. So be careful of processed meat. All right, let's go to some things that are good for us. Fish is excellent. Fish is really high in omegas, right? It's excellent for us. Oily fish are going to be even better for you because they're higher in omegas. So that's going to be like your salmon, your herrings, your tuna fish, sardines, and lake trout. So fish is excellent for you. Nuts and seeds are another one that's really good for you. They lower the risk of having cardiovascular events, and it's because they're really high in omegas, especially walnuts. They're the highest in omega-3s. But they're also really good for healthy fats. So they help to feed your brain, and there is a connection between your brain and your heart that we're going to talk about at the end. And so keeping your brain healthy with good, healthy fats is going to help support your heart as well. All right, fruits and vegetables. You should eat the rainbow is what they say, and I agree with this. Even if you're not having heart issues, you should eat the rainbow, okay? Red is actually a big deal because it's really high in lycopene, which actually reduces stroke rates by 50%. But fruits and vegetables are really high in fiber, okay? And so because they're high in fiber, that also reduces our cardiovascular event by 60%. And so fruits and vegetables, I know you get tired of hearing about them, but they really are good for you. And vegetables, people ask, well, is it all vegetables? It's your cruciferous vegetables that are going to be the biggest bang for your buck, though most of the vegetables are great. But remember, eat a rainbow. You don't want to just focus on one of these, you want to eat all of them because they all work together. Water. Water, a lot of times, people don't realize that it actually helps to reduce inflammation by flushing out toxins out of your body. It helps to support your liver and kidneys, which are big filters, and they help to clear out inflammation in your body as well. So water is actually really important to drink. Sometimes people have a hard time drinking plain water, so I tell them to add a little lemon, freshly squeezed lemon, not the store-bought lemon juice, but freshly squeezed lemon, or lime, or some people like it mixed. It helps to add a little flavor to it, plus it helps to support and flush out the toxins. So water. But before we move on, I also wanted to bring up sugary drinks because I do get a lot of people who think they are eating or drinking healthy when they're having like some energy drinks that say they're natural, okay? You should know that liquid sugar is the worst type of sugar to eat, okay? And it actually does increase your risk of cardiovascular events by 35%. So this is energy drinks, this is soda, fruit drinks. If you're drinking coffee and you're putting a lot of sugar into it, then you also fall into this category of drinks that are not good for you, that is going to help bring on cardiovascular events. All right, and the last one we'll talk about is dark chocolate. So this is like 75% dark chocolate or more, and really what it does is it raises your dopamine and your serotonin levels, which makes you feel good and happy. And as we go to everyday events that you can do, these feelings and increased dopamine and serotonin is going to be really beneficial. So what can we do every day to protect our heart? It's a good question. And because so many people have multi-issues, like Amory said, over 80 million people suffer from multi-issues with heart disease, we need to be working every single day to have a healthy heart. All right, the first thing you can do, this is a picture of my family. I have 8 children, as if people know me, they know this, and my husband and our grandkids. The first thing you need to do and work on is relationships. People are always surprised when I say this. And if you know me, I kind of grew up in a home where I don't really have great relationships with my parents. My brother and sisters are different, but there was some issues that happened, and I don't have great relationships with my parents. But I have good relationship with the majority of my kids. I hope with my in-laws, if nothing else, they at least put up with me. But I do have also great relationships with my grandchildren. Studies have shown that positive and supportive relationships act as a buffer against heart disease by reducing stress, inducing inflammation, and lowering your blood pressure. So they actually say that if you have good relationships, that you're actually going to live longer and healthier. If you don't have a family, then go to friends. You need to be eating meals with people, and you need to be socializing. If you want to live healthy and longer, you need good relationships in your life. And whether that's family or friends, it doesn't seem to matter as much, but you need them. All right, laughter and optimism. Here's your serotonin and dopamine. But in a study in 2020, it showed that the more you laugh, the less likely you are to have a stroke and heart attacks by up to 40%, which is actually a lot. So they tell you that you should be laughing several times a week, and they compared it to people who were laughing only once a month, and that's where they got that statistic of 40%. So really laughing a couple times a week isn't that hard to do. I know my husband has been kind of on this mindset thing, so sometimes he wants to jump or stare at each other's eyes as we do these things. And you can't help but to laugh while you do it because you kind of feel silly doing it. But laughter and optimism thinking is really important. It's one of the reasons why we recommend affirmations when people come into our office. It's because they're so important to your health, your mind, your body, and your heart. All right, the next one should be our teeth. So, how in the world does teeth regulate to our heart? They've actually found that germs from your mouth, they've actually found 5 different forms of bacteria that form in your mouth in your bloodstream. So having healthy mouth, gums is really important. So brushing, flossing, things like that is actually going to increase or decrease your risk of cardiovascular events. All right, exercise. It's that word nobody likes, okay? Exercise is really important. Remember, our heart is a muscle, and we got to use it and keep it going to keep it healthy. So people ask, what do I recommend with exercising? A lot of people, at least studies say to do 30 minutes of cardiovascular, 5 times a week, and twice a week do resistance training. I'm not against that. I think it's great. I have read some recent studies that talk about spurts. And so I've been kind of doing a different thing this year because I needed to lose a little bit of weight, where I do multi-muscle exercises for 50 seconds, and then I take a 10-second break. And then I do a different multi-muscle exercise, and I'll do 3, 4, sometimes even 5, and then I take about a minute break, and then I start my rounds again. And I'll do it 3 times. I have found that actually for me, I sweat more doing that. My heart rate is up, pumping more, doing these little spurts of really hard multi-muscle exercise, even though it will only take me about 10 to 13 minutes. I actually feel like I do get a really good workout doing that. And then I do mix in yoga a couple times a week as well, just because stretching and that deep breathing is really important for your health as well. But studies have shown that people who get up, if you work at a desk, if you get up every 2 hours and you walk around, even if it's only for 10 minutes, if you do some calf raises or stretches, things like that, that it actually helps to thin your waist, lower your inflammation, lower your blood sugar and your blood pressure. So even if you don't have time to head to the gym, just getting up and moving is going to be beneficial to you. It's going to lower that cardiovascular event risk. All right, a healthy gut. Healthy gut is really important for overall health, but your heart health is one. And it's because an unhealthy gut activates your immune system, whereby causing inflammation. And where we talked in the beginning that the biggest cause of heart attacks is inflammation, a lot of inflammation starts in the gut. So having a healthy gut is really important, so work on that. All right, sleep. Who does not like sleep? So sleep actually helps to keep your brain sharp, and it helps to lower inflammation. It's anti-inflammatory, and it helps to boost your immune system. So getting your 8 hours of sleep at night, 7-8 hours, is actually really important for multiple reasons, but your heart health is one of them. And your brain, keeping your brain sharp. Statistics show us that people who keep their brain active and challenged will actually have decreased risk of having a heart attack or cardiovascular events. The brain acts as a command center for the cardiovascular system. So it controls like your heart rate, your blood pressure, your vascular tones. They actually said that, actually I'm gonna leave that with stress because it's gonna go with stress. But there is a connection between brain and stress. Let's go to the next one and I'll tell you about it. Stress is our last one. And I left this for last because I feel like it's one of probably the most important things. Besides our diet, I feel like stress is actually probably one of the most important things you can do for your heart health, and I'll tell you why. In Germany, a lot of people drink beer and eat sausage, which was on one of our do not eat lists, right? And Italy, people there drink a lot of wine. You would think that they would be more unhealthy because of their diets than us. But actually they have a lower heart attack and blood pressures than what we have here in the United States. And really this goes back to stress. We are so stressed out here in the United States that it actually increases our inflammation markers, and it causes us to have a lot of different health issues. Extreme emotion and physical stress can actually cause what's called a broken heart syndrome. So it temporarily weakens your heart's left ventricle, and so it kind of mimics a heart attack. When people have anxiety attacks, I actually told a man this once because he thought he was having like carbon monoxide poisoning, heart attack, something, because his heart was stressed. And I was talking to him about anxiety, and I said when people are under a large amount of stress, emotional, physical, doesn't have to be stressful to anyone else, only to you, that it actually can mimic up feeling like a heart attack. And he didn't believe me, but it's true. It's based in science. You can go look it up. And anyway, so we really need to learn to manage our stress. You should know that 75% of trips to the doctor's office and the ER are related to stress. Doctors have actually came out and said if people learn how to manage their stress, they would be out of a job, which I think says a whole lot. And I read somewhere else that we actually have ticking time bombs in our chest, and it's because of the stress. We need to learn to manage stress. We probably are going to do a podcast here sometime in the next month or two on stress, but some easy things to do is to learn breathing techniques. I really like the 4-7-8. You breathe in 4, you hold it for 7, you breathe out 8. You should feel it here in your abs when you're breathing out, like you should be tightening up on that 7 or 8. If you're not, then you didn't get a big enough breath during the 4 count, so redo it. And I tell people to do this 3 or 4 times before you go to bed, before you get up out of bed in the morning. Anytime you feel stressed during the day, to do that breathing technique. A lot of people find it helpful to journal is another great way to help relieve stress. Walking and grounding, taking your socks and shoes off and walking in the grass is a great way to ground. But you need to learn how to manage your stress. Sleep can play into stress. Eating plays into stress because when we're eating, when we're stressed, we end up eating more sugar and foods like that aren't good for us. We end up sleeping longer and our brains become numb and groggy. And so stress actually affects a lot of different things that we mentioned here today. If you need more help in how to manage stress, you can message us below or message us online and we can give you some more ideas. But essentially breathing and grounding are going to be your best bets, but there are other things that you can do to help manage stress. I think that's all I have for our heart class. So if anyone doesn't have any questions here, we're good? Okay.